Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about some Vietnam War gear. I feel as though I've accumulated enough pieces to justify making a video, so we'll go over them one by one and let's get started. So starting off, I guess I'll start off saying the gear here is all a part of certain impressions I'm working on, and I guess I'll mention them throughout the video. So starting off, this is sort of gear that I've gotten sort of by chance and just so happened to end up building a Viet Cong, impression, or at least part of one. So this is an original. I'm not gonna bother pronouncing the names because I'm just gonna mess it up anyways. So I'll just call it what the Americans called it. It's the the rice farmer black pajamas, Viet Cong black pajamas, worn by certain special forces teams and members throughout the Vietnam War. Some members in SOG, stuff like that. I'll include pictures. But yeah, so this right here is it's pretty comfortable. I'm not sure what it's made out of. I'm pretty sure it's like cotton, but it's kind of a rough material, very thin, very breathable material, pretty roomy. We got some pockets right here. I'm a little bit taller than your average Vietnamese person, so it fits, but it's more for someone, about like 5'1" or 5'2", or even 5'3". So these go about to like a little bit above my waist, but it looks good as a shirt. It's supposed to go a little bit farther down, but here's the trousers, pants, whatever you call them. Same material, very roomy, elastic waistband, and the neck cloth or cravat or whatever you want to call it. So these come in multiple colors. This is just typically what the farmers there at the time wore, but this specific color was something that the VC used to differentiate themselves. I think also the Khmer Rouge also used these. But yeah, it's a cool piece. Not worn by Americans when wearing the black pajamas, but good for when you want to do a VC impression. And last but not least, got the Chi Com AK-47 chest rig. It's pretty durable, nice piece right here. Very thick, like canvas material. It's got 2 grenade pockets on one side, or 3 grenade pockets and a pocket for oil or for your gun or something like that. 3 AK-47 pouches for the banana mags. I don't own it in AK, but I do use this for when I go to the range. I use it for AR mags. It can fit 2 of them, so I'm assuming that you could probably fit 2 in here. But it's pretty nice. Looks cool. Not quite the accurate color. I'm pretty sure the ones that the VC used were made in country, but they're pretty much copies of these. It's just they were a lighter color. So yeah. So we'll move on to the next items. So here's a cool uniform that I've gotten. I've had it for about a year now, and I'm so glad I was able to get the opportunity to buy this. This is an original 60s Vietnam era civilian used or issued camo brand camo uniform. So information on this is It's based off the United States Marine World War II frog camo pattern. So after the war, they pretty much, like, every, like, civilian company that wanted to make hunting camo or anything like that, or duck, you hear this referred to as duck hunter camo, ended up using this pattern for, you know, in different variations. This is probably the most, I would say, in pictures I've seen and stuff like that, and reference photos, this is probably the most seen color variation of this, other than the black and brown, sort of rock-esque version of this camouflage pattern. But yeah, it's, as you can see, it's in pretty good condition. There is some wear on the pants, in the leg area, some stitching, but whoever did it did a good job. Little cigarette pocket there. Cool bit here is that, if I can get it to focus, the buttons are similar to the ones worn on the Marine uniforms in World War II. So this is a part of an impression I'm doing as an advisor, early Vietnam War advisory. No specific branch. I'm still deciding. I'm pretty sure special forces advisors use this. Some probably regular Army advisory use these too. Again, still doing a little bit of research, but this is just the base for what I'm using. Definitely will do a future video on it as the kit grows, but yeah, very nice. It's very comfortable. You'd be surprised on how soft this is. But yeah, there's the uniform itself. And next, we'll move on to the hat. So a hat in a pattern that would match was very hard to find, due to the fact that most of these, like the hats that they would wear in the pictures, were either sold with it. So I forgot to mention that these were personally bought by some of the advisors in Vietnam. That's why you're often referred to as duck camo, because, you know, it's like, order from a Sears catalog, get it sent to you, and there you got your uniform. Just due to the fact that the original, you know, frog camo from World War II, those fatigues uniforms were such low quantity at the time, and you know, these were far more common and still in production. Still are, actually, to this day. You can find shirts and hats that are in this pattern. But yeah, back to the hats. It's you see 5-point hats made in country for this pattern. You see boonie hats made in to match the pattern. Some of them are also would be mismatched. Like this one's like sort of, this is about as close as I can get without getting a hat custom made. As you can see, it's a little bit lighter, but this is actually a French Indo-Chinese, as the pattern's sometimes called Biogam or Biojam or something like that. Again, difficult to pronounce, but yeah. Duck hunter camo hat worn by the French. It's very floppy, wide brim, you know, protect from the sun, good. But due to a reference photo I've seen, this is very similar to a hat I've seen in a reference photo, so I picked it up and decided to use it with the advisory uniform. Next pieces are some, I'm not sure if these are original or not, but I'm fairly certain. But anyways, these are very cool. I've always wanted these. As you can see, awesome design. These are Montagnard bracelets. So during the war, the Americans, recruited a lot of indigenous personnel. That included, the people who were there even before the Vietnamese, the certain mountain tribes. That's what Montagnard means in French, is people of the mountains, highlands, stuff like that. Hmong tribes, Bru, what else is there? Sedang. There's so many. It's hard to name them all. But yeah, these are two specific styles made by, for what I remember, two different tribes. So they're made from, at least this one is made from spent shell casings melted down and shaped into a bracelet and then engraved. Let's see if I could get it to focus. Well, yeah, there's plenty of photos on the internet, but yeah, oh, there we go. Yep, very nice engravings, all done by hand too. And this one's just plain, with these little like spherical things at the end. I don't wear this one that often, as it's pretty big on my wrist. But, it's still nice as a display piece. Let's see if I'm missing anything. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this section of gear. Oh yeah, also some fun little tidbits. General Westmoreland was given one by Montagnards. John Wayne, when he filmed, the movie Green Berets, he was given one by an actual Green Beret. And wore it until he died, which is cool. I always hear SOG veterans, when they talk about their bracelets, they always reference John Wayne, and I always thought that was cool. So, but yeah, let's keep moving. Quick little piece right here that we're gonna go over is this right here is a Montagnard made headband. As you can see here, the words Vietnam. So information on this is pretty scarce, or at least I haven't found anything on it in specific, but from what I can tell from photos, it was mostly just like like an accessory thing, a fashion thing. There are plenty of photos of SEALs wearing it in the back of the, like when they're back at base and stuff like that. Even some US Army late 70s, early 70s, late war Army personnel wearing these. This is not an original. This is a reproduction of one. Even these aren't particularly easy to get a hold of. I think the person who sold this doesn't sell these anymore. But yeah, they came in multiple colors, blues, stuff like that. This one was my favorite. This is definitely the best color it came in. Get this nice, like, dark brown with this red right here. It looks awesome, So, yeah, it's good for, specific kit. Not sure. I mean, it's just a cool piece, I often wear it around when it gets hot, so, yeah. There's that. Okay, last but not least, we're going to go over my web gear here. So starting off, this is the typical M56 web gear with pistol belt and H suspenders, but it's set up in the MACV SOG gear setup. So what I'm doing with this, before I talk in detail, is I'm using it as a for two impressions. It's set up for two impressions. So the first one's going to be I'm basing it off of Doug the Frenchman Letourneau's, the kit or the gear he wore when he served with RT Idaho. And in 1968 to 1969, this is sort of based on like, you know, information that he's given on in certain interviews, and it's also based off the action figure that was made for him. Oh yeah, and I'm also using it for a Operation Ivory Coast impression. So this works for both, which I will make future videos on. So starting off, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 canteen pouches. One of them is not here. I guess I just forgot to add it on here, but yeah, I'm supposed to have 8 on here. So for those of you who don't know, SOG teams and just some special forces teams use these instead of the regular M56, you know, 20 round magazine pouches, for a multitude of reasons. One of them being just that you can probably at most on your person carry only 2 on each side of the magazine pouches. Just the way the gear's set up, it's just you have to wear bandoliers. There's no getting around it unless you somehow rig something up. But the practicality of it is left into question at that point, and it's far more practical to, if you want to bring a large amount of ammo along with you, is to use these canteen pouches. Now, the way it worked is these would just be used as pretty much as general purpose pouches. I mean, you can fit probably, I've seen photos of guys fitting about like 2 at the bottom, 1 on the side, 1 on the side, 2 in the middle, and then 2 on top. So that's like what, 6 magazines, as opposed to only being able to carry what, 3 or maybe 2 in the original M56 magazine pouches. So that's a lot of rounds to have on your person, and that's all due to the fact that they're using these instead of magazine pouches. The setup was different from person to person, or you know, groups in SOG did different things, but like I said, this is mostly based on Ivory Coast / the Frenchman's setup. So you'd have like 2 grenades, 1 for grenades, you know, thumper grenades in the back, toe poppers, stuff like that. But yeah, so that's the belt right here, just your typical, you know, Vietnam era pistol belt. Not an important piece to talk about, but it's just, you know, OD green or olive drab bandana or cravat, as they refer to it in the books. You know, not a major piece, but definitely puts it all together. I do not have a uniform yet, but it's probably going to be a while before I make a video on that, because I'm going to have to modify it. But it'll all be mentioned in the future, what will be done with that. So moving on to the actiony part of the setup. See if I could flip this over with one hand. This is where all the magic happens, right here. I have a this is a recent purchase. Not quite sure on the accuracy of it. For the Frenchman's kit, I'm going to remove this. But for Ivory Coast, I'm either going to use this or I've heard personal accounts of one of the guys carrying a Buck General knife, which is a, you know, not a military issue knife. It's a personally bought one. But anyways, to what this is a Air Force survival knife. Let's see if I can get it out without cutting myself. Pretty nice. It's got a bolt shape down here. It's definitely the most recognizable piece of the knife pommel here for hammering in, you know, general purpose knife. Very nice. This is not an original. The originals are pretty expensive and definitely not able to be used. The thing you'll find with me throughout these videos is that whenever I buy pieces of gear, it's either just for display or for actual use. So I definitely wanted to get something that I could actually use and wouldn't care about ruining because, you know, it's not an original. Generic first aid pouch. No bandage inside. It's empty right now. Well, actually, yeah, it's got a regular civilian compass in there. And this I'm glad to have been able to get because I've been searching for one of these for a while. You would be surprised on how not easy it is to find one. Set the camera down a minute. Alright, I edited the video to a quick skip. This thing was very hard to get out. I need to fix that. I should be able to just, you know, slip it out of there. But ended up getting it out, and here we have an emergency strobe light. Now, these came with a couple of different lenses or caps, colored caps to put over it. This one came with a navy one. I think the ones that the SOG teams used were red or orange or something along those lines. But I've also seen, you know, reference photos of them just being plain Jane like this, just a clear one. This does not work. It has the old original battery cap and battery in it still, which I will remove eventually. They sell adapters for these where you can put in, you know, modern working batteries. But yeah, it's definitely a cool piece of kit that I've been meaning to get. I definitely couldn't have finished or like topped off the impression without it. It's just I don't know if it was just me, but this was just so incredibly hard to find. It's been like probably 4 or 3 years until I was able to actually find one up for sale on eBay. And yeah, and it wasn't even that expensive either. It was probably about like what, 20-30 bucks. And but yeah, pretty sure this is dated. It's the same as the Vietnam era ones, but I had to settle for a 80s 70s dated one, but still cool nonetheless, and still accurate to the impression. So there's that. So I think that does it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys would like to hear more about. And that concludes this video. And I'll see you guys next time.